Good evening, I'm back again. We talked earlier in a video about a bad wiper motor. When we tested the motor checked out. The problem was this little thing right here. This is the wiper control module, and if you take a look at that board, you can see exactly what the problem was. But it created a new problem. When we put the wiper motor in, the windshield wiper still didn't function. So I'm going to go through this and I'm going to explain to you how we fixed it temporarily. Okay, sometimes when you get a board like that, you get circuits crossing over each other. It burned out the upper right-hand corner of the board from your perspective. This is about as simple as it gets, but it's also something that a lot of people overlook. I took it to the mechanic. He power probed the connections. He missed something. What he missed was a green wire that is the control unit for the power for that board when I put the new motor in. We spent about 6 hours on this. I told you before I replaced the switch itself first. And a lot of these do-it-yourselfer guys will tell you on YouTube that it's either the motor or it's the switch. Well, in this case, it wasn't the switch. This here is a jumper I ran with my mechanic into this harness here. This is where your wipers run through this harness here, and then it runs to the ABS, obviously. But if you see it right there, we tied into this little green wire and supplied power to the computer from these nice LED fog lamps. Now, the only issue with that is anytime I want to use the windshield wipers, I have to run the fog lamps. Because they're LED, there's not much of a draw, and that control circuit itself doesn't require that much of a draw. So after replacing this with a part that didn't need to be replaced and replacing the motor itself, we discovered that the control unit itself was bad, which you cannot buy separately. You have to buy a new motor. But the control unit backfed power into that wire. The best way to think about electrical is flow, like water through a pipe. What it did is it found the weakest point in the wire, and it burned it out. Now, a cool little side effect to this is I don't even have to have the ignition on to turn on the wipers. I turn power on to the fog lamps, control unit works, and I have wipers. Now, the washer fluid also didn't work, and it was something that I didn't explain to a buddy of mine. He's a technician, state certified in Michigan, was that those washer fluid didn't spray with the motor out. He said that was an entirely separate problem, something I should have talked to him about. We came up to the same automotive program. Biggest advice I can give you, take your vehicle to a mechanic, but at this point, my mechanic failed me. I spent $85 to have the switch put in. He power probed the wiper motor connections, and he missed one thing, the control circuit power. By missing the control circuit power, he missed and caused me a serious headache. So, it's not hard to ask your technician if he's already got your car torn apart to check that control circuit. Everything else was getting to the unit itself, except for the power for the unit itself. That's why the message wasn't being received. That's pretty much it with the wiper issues of the 2009 Crown Vic. I don't know if you've had similar problems, but if this helps you, all you need is a fused switch to temporarily fix this, which I already had ran because of my fog lamps. Probably not the best place for these wires at the moment, but they're only temporary until I can get the wires tracked and figure out exactly what happened. I already explained to you what I believe happened and what my technician, my buddy Dave, thinks. So, it's quite simple. That's how you fix that. You run power, you splice it into that green wire, and that'll get you on the road. I drove 4 days in the rain and pouring down rain. This is not something I would recommend, but it also gives you a better look at the Vic, better than the tour video anyway. It's your typical 4.6 liter 3-valve engine. She runs pretty good, and I've never really had an issue with her other than the wiper motors. I still recommend these cars highly. Do not tear into your wiring harness if you don't know what you're doing. Hillbilly Jim cannot fix your car. Hillbilly Jim doesn't know enough. Talk to a certified technician or take it to a garage and you'll figure all that out in due time. Anyway, if you liked the video, that's about as simple as it gets for the fix. I should have ran the video when we had everything torn apart, but as simple as it gets. Getting those wiper arms off is a little bit more difficult than the guy claims in the other videos. Pulling that tab on the back. See if I can get it up in here so you can see it. Keeping that tab out while you pull those arms off. They're not bolted on, so they're pretty simple once they come off, but when you reseat them, you got to be really, really careful to put them back in the same position. Do not mix up the wiper arms, as they are different lengths. You'll have serious issues if you do. Anyway, that's all for this video. We'll have more of a discussion on engines later, and basic care for your Crown Vic. If you take care of it, she's going to last you a while. Anyway, take care, have a great day, and subscribe if you like the video.